What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about finding your it factor. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm a ballroom dance professional, a life coach, and a peak performance expert. I'm part of a group of motivated people who are dedicated to attaining emotional mastery and unlocking our full potential. We don't believe others are responsible for how we feel. In fact, we don't believe anyone can make us feel anything. We believe in the magic of ballroom dance. It has taught us how to improve our bodies, challenge our minds, and inspire our souls. And in return, I want to share those lessons with the world. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the next episode of the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm so excited that you joined me today. Today, we're going to talk about finding your it factor. I was walking into my office today, and on the wall, we have a poster of the current world Latin champions, Ricardo and Julia. And it occurred to me, we talk so much about improving our life and improving our world. And I think that it's important to address your it factor. Now, what's an it factor? I was working with a student a few days back, and they were saying, well, what do you think an it factor is? What is it? And as typical, I think it's a little challenging to describe. The interesting part about it is in the dance world, we can watch dancers and you know whether they have an it factor or not. And most people, you don't have to be a trained dancer, can look at somebody and say, yeah, they have a good it factor, or they don't have a good it factor. Let's go back to some great dancers of the past. Let's take somebody like a Gene Kelly, who was incredible. He was an incredible dancer. A lot of people might have thought he was a ballroom dancer, same as Fred Astaire, but honestly, they weren't really ballroom dancers. They were really tap dancers and jazz dancers, and they knew some ballroom things. But oftentimes, they're revered as ballroom dancers of the day. But regardless, Gene Kelly had a ridiculous it factor. Same thing with Fred Astaire. They had crazy, ridiculous it factor. So what is it? Well, if you look in all sorts of different industries, whether it's dance or whether it's acting or whether it's basketball, there was an element of an it factor that Michael Jordan has. And he still has it to this day, even though he doesn't play basketball. There's something that he has that is that it factor. It makes people drawn to him. And I think there's a lot of things that go into it. So what do you think? What do you think? Do you think it factor is made up of one thing or multiple things? From my experience, what I've seen is that oftentimes you gain an it factor through the hard work that you put in. You look at somebody like Will Smith, who, if you haven't heard those episodes, we talked about a little bit of his philosophy on life. And when you hear him speak or when you hear him interviewed, there's a charisma about him that draws people to him. Now, what is that about? That can be called his it factor. There's a lot of hard work that was put into it. There's a lot of belief that he can change the world and help people on a greater scale. And it's intoxicating, right? You want to be part of it. You want to be near it, and you want to be engaged with it. So what is the it factor in dance? Sometimes you say, well, it's a combination of things: the makeup, the hair, the costumes. But honestly, even without all that stuff, you can see when somebody has a great it factor. One of the parents that I work with their children, asked me the other day, well, do you think you can teach it factor? And I said, well, over time, anybody can learn how to have an it factor. I do believe that. But some people and some kids in different areas where they're talented find their it factor just because they have it naturally and they don't have to work at it very hard. They just tend to have a natural it factor. Now, that's great and all, but what I've also seen is through the years of watching dancers grow, sometimes they have a great it factor as a young person, and when they don't understand and learn how to execute that on a regular basis, sometimes they'll lose it as they get older, and so they hit their teenage years or they hit their college years, and they lose that it factor because they don't know necessarily how they did it, or maybe they lose the love for what it is they're doing a little bit. This is a big deal. I think that if we dig down a little bit and go backwards, where is that coming from, that it factor? Well, I do believe it's a combination of a lot of things, right? It's your talent, it's your skill, it's the hard work you put in. I teach hard work, discipline, and sacrifice. These three things are huge. And sometimes dancers or athletes that have that it factor don't put in that hard work and discipline and sacrifice, but they still have an it factor, and it carries them because people are drawn to it. You're drawn to see what it is, that's that thing, that something is special about that person, and you're drawn to it, and that is indeed that it factor. I believe it's because if we keep drilling down and we go back to where maybe it stems from, it's because there's this driving force, this why, this purpose behind what it is they're doing. Now, don't get crazy on me. The purpose of it can be simple. Sometimes as we grow older, we're taught to think about our mission statement, and we're taught to think about, what's our purpose in life, and we get all philosophical and deep. But when you look at a kid that has an it factor, they haven't done that. They haven't gone in and they haven't thought about the deepness of the purpose of life. And so what is it that allows them to have an it factor without having thought of that? Well, sometimes your purpose can be something simple and just easy and basic. Sometimes for a kid, it's just getting attention. That's it. It's just they love getting the attention. And so they find a way to produce that it factor based purely and solely on them wanting to get attention. That's it. Something simple. It doesn't have to be hugely complicated. But it can be complicated. You can have a really complex mission statement and know exactly where you're going and what you're doing, and that's fine. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that sometimes as adults, we get a little too crazy, a little too complicated in the overall mix of things. And we start coming up with all sorts of ways to get to that it factor. And honestly, it's just something simple. Find your purpose for the thing that you love and pour your heart into the thing that you love. And there's so many great results that come from that. Sometimes it's the fact that you don't work a day in your life because you do the thing you love every day. And honestly, if you don't, I challenge you to start searching for that and going for it. Because what are you doing with your talents and your skills and that special gift that you have to share with this world? What are you doing if you're not engaging in something that you love to do every day? And some people out there say, well, I'm working. I have to work for a living. I have to make money, so I'll just do whatever I can do. Well, guess what? If you do what you love, you won't work a day in your life. Because the thing that you love will find a way to bring you money. Right? The money will come. And sometimes it will be harder and sometimes it will be easier. And that's just how it is. It's part of our growth process. But your it factor will shine when you do the thing that you love. When you work with people and you contribute to the world, doing the thing that you are passionate and you love to do, that it factor will find a way to come right out of you. And people will notice and they'll be drawn to you and they'll want to be part of what it is that you're doing. And that's an amazing feeling. And to be able to contribute to the greater whole, help other people find their passion, be a good example, a shining light in the overall whole of what somebody else's world is going to do. Find that it factor. I challenge you guys today to go out and really put some effort into your day thinking about what it is that is your thing. What's your purpose? And don't get so deep and crazy that you forget that all we're looking for is a nice, simple, straightforward answer. What do you love? What do you love to do? And what can you go and get skilled at in that love so that your it factor will shine right through and let people see the light that comes out of you because you love what you do. Go find your it factor. I challenge you to do that today. It'll be amazing. I'd love to hear what you find. I'd love to hear the things that you love to do. So send us a message. Share our podcast if you feel like somebody needs to hear this message, because I bet somebody out there needs to hear this today. So we'd love all the support. Thank you guys so much for showing up, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.
Are you loving Majic for Life? Please like and share our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Want more magic for your life? Join me for some great Facebook Lives on the official Facebook page at Michael A. Johnson Official.